it is pretty obvious the Packers have a very big problem on the defensive side of the ball, and I think that this has to do with many different factors that mix together and create what we've seen so far from the Packers defense this season. And it's very sad to see just how poorly the Packers defense has played, especially yesterday against the Eagles, allowing 363 rushing yards by the Eagles offense. It was just a small sample size of the issues the Packers have faced this year on the defensive side of the ball. And it's been pretty shocking to see just how the Packers defense has underperformed this season, because I truly thought this was going to be one of the best defenses in the NFL. Bringing back Devondre Campbell, Rasul Douglas. We finished off last year with a playoff loss to the 49ers at home. But the defense looked really, really good, looked elite. And it was like, okay, this is going to be a sign of things to come. Hopefully the defense can be one of the best in the NFL. The offense can maybe be average, get things going later in the season. And then hopefully this team will be good enough to make a run in the playoffs. And that just has not been the case whatsoever. And a lot of that falls to the defense. And I know now there is a discussion about what should the Packers do, because clearly something needs to change on the defensive side of the ball. We can't keep happening. We can't continue to do what we've been doing so far, because it has not worked whatsoever. I do think one of the issues is Joe Barry. In his time here, the Packers defense has definitely struggled. But I think when you look at the expectations for this defense coming in this season, you look at all the different elite players we have on this squad, it's pretty concerning to see just how much the Packers defense has underperformed. I thought it would be maybe a top 5 defense, maybe top 10. And right now, when you look at scoring defenses, we are ranked 22nd overall, so in the bottom third of the league. And we have one of the worst rush defenses in the NFL, which was shown in this past weekend against the Philadelphia Eagles. The Packers now have the 31st ranked rushing defense in the NFL. And so I think when you look at Joe Barry, his time here, there have been many instances of him not really changing things, I think, quickly enough. We've seen him at times, many examples of, 3rd and long, Packers corners playing off, they get an easy first down. And it's things like that just sort of make you, scratch your head a little bit and wonder why Joe Barry continues to do what he's done so far. And I think when the Packers brought him in a couple of years ago, there were hopes that he would really take this defense to the next level, but we have stayed average to below average at best. And there's been times where the defense looks really good, but overall it has been I'd say failure this season. I'm currently sitting at 4-8, and I think that going into 2023, this next season, that there are lots of things the Packers need to do to switch up on this defense. And I think that lots of times when a team struggles, when you don't exactly know what the issue is, you come in, you bring in a new coach, a new, coordinator, whatever it may be, wherever the biggest issue is, because it just, sort of creates a fresh start. A new coach comes in, brings their scheme, starts things afresh, and it feels like there's a, starting point from that point on. And I think when you look at this Packers defense, I think the first thing that needs to happen this offseason is the Packers, moving on from Joe Barry. He seems like a great individual, a great guy. I enjoy watching his press conferences, but he has not been able to, I think, deliver the way that people expected this Packers defense to deliver with the talent we have here. But it's not like Joe Barry is the only issue and the Packers defenders have played amazing. That has not been the case. Many of the players have declined this season. I want to show you some information I gathered today. I was doing some research, and basically what I did is I looked at PFF's site. I looked at the Packers defensive players' grades from 2021, and then looking at the grades compared to 2022 this season, and basically compared, okay, how did PFF grade them last year to how are they graded this year? And I put this out earlier on Twitter. If you guys follow me on Twitter, you guys already saw it, but here it is. The Packers defense has played drastically worse this year. I charted out PFF grades from 2021 to 2022 and where each player ranks versus last year. 9 of the 10 eligible defenders have a worse PFF grade in 2022. Red is worse, green equals better. So I took the typical 11 starters, not factoring in the injuries. Of course, Rashawn is, done for the year. Eric Stokes likely done, maybe potentially done for the year. As you can see there, every single player besides Jair Alexander declined when it comes to their PFF grade. Quay Walker, of course, wasn't here last year, but he has not been good. 78 out of 82 overall. So you can see, starting from the top, Preston Smith was the 12th ranked edge rusher last year. This year, 68th. Rashawn Gary played really well still. He wasn't really an issue. Even though his grade did slightly drop, it's still an elite grade. 89.8 grade last year to 82.9 in his time this year. Kenny Clark has been a player who has really declined this season. 13th ranked defensive lineman last year, 56th so far this year. So to not have him playing at the same level as last year has really hurt this team. You can especially see that when it comes to the run defense, because his run grade is like in the 40s, I believe. His pass grade's a little higher. Dean Lowry, had a nice little bump in play last year, 33rd. This year, 54th. So drop there. Devondre Campbell, still playing, I'd say, pretty highly. Second-ranked middle linebacker last year. This year, 13th. So a decline, but not too bad. We already talked about Quay Walker. Jair wasn't ranked last year because he didn't play enough snaps to, get ranked. But this year, still playing pretty solid overall. A slightly better grade than last year. Eric Stokes dropped off 45th last year, 91st this year. Rasul Douglas, 16th last year, 37th this year. Amos, honestly, a big drop-off here from safeties. Adrian Amos last year, 74.3 grade, 19th overall, to this year, a 55.1 grade, and 72nd out of 88 safeties. And then to finish it off, Darnell Savage, 57 grade last year, not great, 72nd. This year, 46.5, which ranks 85th out of 88 safeties. So when you combine the questionable play calling at times from Joe Barry, and then you combine the decline of play of pretty much the entire Packers starting defense, it sort of makes sense why this Packers defense has not quite lived up to the expectations that we had for them. And I think when you look at the game against the Eagles on Sunday, we saw just how poor the Packers defense is when it comes to tackling, because there were many instances where we could have stopped Jalen Hurts. There was one play in the beginning where Quay Walker, in position, looks like he was in like a QB spy, just breaks down, can't make a tackle. Same thing happened with Adrian Amos. And so overall, I think the Packers had 15 or 16 missed tackles yesterday, which is one of the reasons the Eagles were able to dominate when it came to their rushing attack. And so going forward, we clearly need some better play from these players, because it's really honestly shocking to see just how much this defense has declined, because it really seemed this offseason, we were contemplating, discussing before the Packers made all their moves, before they brought back Devondre Campbell or Rasul Douglas. Once they made those moves, it seemed like, okay, this is going to be one of the best defenses in the NFL. We're going to be much better this next season. Jair will be back. We'll be a lockdown defense. And from week one, this defense has struggled to be consistent. And time again, we've had just issues in many different areas. Because at times, against the Titans, we hold Derrick Henry in check, which we held him to like 88 yards. But then Tannehill throws for like 300 plus. And then against the Eagles, they don't really pass too much against us, but they run for 363 yards. So sometimes we can stop one area of a team, but we're not able to bring it all together, be good against the run, against the pass, all in the same game. It seems like something always breaks down. And so I think that, I feel like the only option is to move on from Joe Barry. Right now, Matt LaFleur has said that is not his plan. He said that if he thought there needed to be a change made, he would have done it already. So we'll see what happens here. I feel like Matt LaFleur is the kind of person who would wait to let a guy like Joe Barry go until the offseason and let the season finish. Maybe that happens. Maybe it doesn't happen. And I would be a little surprised if Joe Barry returns just because of the poor play this year. Maybe there's another solution besides letting Joe Barry go. I don't know what that is. I just think that bringing someone new in just, gives the Packers defense a fresh start, and they can sort of start fresh, because it's honestly a little bit confusing as to how poorly this Packers defense has played. Why has everyone declined? I honestly do not know. I don't know if there's an answer for that. Maybe it's, bad play calling by Joe Barry, not putting the players in the best position. But at the same time, they have played poorly. We saw it with all the missed tackles this past game especially. So there are lots of different things the Packers need to fix going forward. And sitting at 4-8, that sort of shows, we're a 4-8 team. We haven't played well on defense or offense. Luckily, it does look like this offense is starting to sort of get things going a little bit, with the biggest thing, I think, being Christian Watson finally playing up to some of the expectations people had for him. I honestly didn't see this November coming, where he just came in and completely dominated with 6 touchdowns so far. And I believe now he has more touchdowns than like Tyreek Hill, Justin Jefferson. So to see his ascent as fast as he just erupted out of nowhere. He was injured to start lots of the year, so maybe if he wasn't injured in training camp and concussions and different injuries to start the season, maybe he would have developed quicker. But everything really changed that one game. 3 touchdowns, starts off, huge touchdown pass in that one game a few weeks ago. It really started him on the trajectory going forward. So I think that right now, when we look at this Packers team overall, it really seems like this season, pretty much all hope is lost. We're not quite mathematically eliminated from the playoffs, but we're very close to being eliminated. So I feel like if the Packers continue playing as they have, which will probably happen because I don't know why they would just suddenly start winning games, even though I hope it can happen, obviously, as a Packers fan. But if things continue, we're going to enter the offseason, probably have a much better draft pick than we have had in previous years, which is, I guess, the good thing about losing is you get a better draft pick. So the Packers can choose to bolster defense or offense. And the Packers will have many different decisions to make, and we will see what Aaron Rodgers decides as well because we don't know what's going to happen there. So there's lots of uncertainty in the future for the Packers, but I'll continue talking about it as time goes on, whatever happens here, whether Aaron Rodgers is quarterback, whether Jordan Love is quarterback. So make sure you guys subscribe to the channel. And if you haven't subscribed to my NFL channel, I have a second channel where I put out other things around the NFL. So this is mainly just the Packers. If you want to see my thoughts on other teams from time to time, I put out videos on a second channel, which will be linked down below. Feel free to subscribe. I think we just hit like 1,600 subscribers there, so I appreciate you guys who have subscribed there. That's pretty much all I have for today. Thank you so much for watching. Feel free to comment your thoughts on the Packers defense, on Joe Barry, whatever you may be thinking. Drop it down in the comments below. But that is all I have for this video, and I'll see you guys next time.